Hi, my name's Sean Reed. I work for the Chimbro Institute. I'm a pipe fitter instructor, and I would like to show you how to properly use a right angle grinder. There are some basic safety items you're going to need to perform this task. One would be gloves. You've got to have gloves. You've got to have hearing protection. The other would be eye protection, mandatory. We use a face shield. You've got to wear a Selstrom face shield. We're going to have to inspect this grinder before we use it, and it's going to take a minute to do. All right, we're going to make sure that the handle is on and properly secure, as well as the guard. We're looking for cracks or any damage where it may have been dropped or broken. Making sure that the trigger works properly. We also have to inspect the cord for any cuts or cracks. Before you use the 5-inch grinder, you're going to want to use a GFCI. It's a ground fault interrupter. It's good for wet conditions, all right? It has a reset button and it has a test button. And the test button you're going to want to use before you use the tool. We also need to look at the attachments. This grinding wheel is rated for 12,500. The right angle grinder is rated for 11,000 RPM on that tag. This means that this grinder and this wheel are compatible. After the tool has passed inspection, we are ready to put on our attachment. But remember, to do this, it needs to be zero energy. It cannot be plugged in. You may have to hold the trigger on the head of it to lock it to get the nut off. You do not have to use that wrench to tighten that wheel up. To prevent unintentional starting, make sure this button is not pushed in. It needs to be out. When the grinder is not in use, make sure that the grinder surface of the wheel is face down. Ensure the tool has stopped spinning before you lay it down. You never want to lift, carry, or hang onto this by its cord. The proper way to carry it is by its trigger and its handle. Whenever you put something in the bench, you want to secure your work so it cannot fall out of the chain vise. Anytime you're grinding flat plate in the bench, 90 degrees, you want to make sure that you keep your angle grinder 30 degrees from the surface. Remember, when your wheel is all done, you need to unplug your tool before you change it and put a new apparatus on it. Whenever you're grinding, you want to make sure you control your sparks. And this would mean here, in my predicament, would be to point them towards the ground. Looking at the back of the grinder, this grinder rotates clockwise. That's the way your spark's going to go. This way. Clockwise, they're going to come down. And it all depends on where you have this guard adjusted. This will point them down towards the floor if you're right-handed. This would throw them up in the air over the welding screens. It's important to have a fire watch in your work area so you don't catch nothing on fire. Out of all 4 of these attachments for the grinder, this one right here, the 045, is going to require a job hazard analysis, a superintendent's signature. It needs to be identified in the daily activity plan for the hazards and solutions to control so you do not get hurt.